Do you know how to lose in multiple offers in Edmonton? Well, I'm going to talk about that in this video today. What do you mean by how am I going to lose in a multiple offer situation here in Edmonton's real estate market? Well, in order to know how to win, you need to know how to lose. And if you know how to lose, then you possibly will learn how to win. So I want to talk to you about kind of my beefs as a realtor who sells and sees it on both sides. I see it both from the listing agent side and I see it from the buying agent side. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how multiple offers work here in Edmonton, what they look like, because did you know that they can look different? Did you know that from province to province, they look different. From city to city, they look different. Calgary and Edmonton don't operate the same way. And then also realtors operate in different ways in how they handle multiple offers within the same city. There are rules that we have to abide by, and then there's other ways that people structure how they go through the multiple offer market situation. So I want to give you some insight on that so you understand what to expect. Let's talk first about what multiple offers even mean. So when I'm talking about multiple offers, I'm talking about a house that's for sale over here, and then we have all these buyers. Now, all these buyers went and looked at the house. Not all of them necessarily go and buy the house or put an offer on the house, but a chunk of them will put an offer on the house. Now, when you have a lot of showings, 20, 30, 40, 50 plus showings, you will likely get a multiple offer. What that means is there's going to be multiple people, multiple buyers looking to put an offer on this home. Now, of course, there's one house and one buyer that's ultimately going to win, but there's going to be multiple buyers on this side trying to actually be the successful bidder for the home. So that, in a nutshell, is what a multiple offer situation is. This is created when there is not enough houses, low demand, and a lot of buyers, which is high demand. So, low inventory and high demand. If we had lots of buyers like we do right now, and a lot of other options, a lot of other homes that they could look at, you wouldn't have that many people looking to put an offer on because they have other choices. They can just move to the other options and put an offer there. So when you are in a multiple offer situation, that's typically what is going on. Now, you could have a multiple offer situation regardless of the temperature of the real estate market. So if the real estate market is a buyer's market and there's tons of homes for sale, and there's lots of buyers out there, you could still have a multiple offer situation in that market. And why is that? If that house is in high demand, so let's say it is in a prime location, it has been done really well, it's priced really well, and there's no other home like it, you may still have a massive amount of demand for it. So for example, in Edmonton, we've got neighborhoods like the River Valley areas that homes don't come up all the time for sale. So if there's a house that backs on to the River Valley, obviously that price point's high, but they don't come up for sale very often, and there are people waiting and watching. You can still have a multiple offer situation in that price point, even though it's a high price point and even though the rest of the city is experiencing a buyer's market. But it's more common to see multiple offers when it is a seller's market where there's not a whole lot of inventory, not a lot of listings for sale, and a lot of people wanting to buy homes. So today we're talking about multiple offers regardless of the real estate market. And how do you lose? How do I see people lose all the time? Well, from the perspective of a listing agent, when we have people come through the property, we're going to take a look at offers. Now, when an offer is sent into a realtor, they are obliged, it's a rule, to call their client and say, hey, we have an offer. Now, there's a few ways that we can handle this. Well, I can present the offer to you now and let you know all the details, or we can set a time to look at all offers and allow other offers to come in. So usually when you have 40, 50 some showings, you're going to do something like that, right? You're going to set a time and say, we're going to look at all offers at this time. Now, if the client wants to know all the details about the offer, that is called presenting the offer. That is not a multiple offer situation. That is a one-to-one offer presentation. The seller can choose to decline and to counter, but if they want to have a multiple offer situation, they can also say, I'm just going to decline for now and I'm going to wait. However, the best way to do it is also just when we have that many showings coming in to just say, I'm not going to look at any offers until this time. So there are different ways that it can be done, but when you do multiple offers, you can't just look at all of them as they come in and make decisions. We do it all at once, and we present it all at once. We also present it in the order it was received. So if you gave me the offer at 3 p.m. and someone gave it to me at 7, the 3 p.m. offer will be presented first. It doesn't mean it will be accepted. It just means at the time of offer presentation, the seller agent goes through all of the offers one by one, goes through all the details with the seller one by one from beginning to end. Once we've gone through all the offers, then we discuss what we want to do. We want to discuss if we're going to counter, if we're going to work with one, which one are we going to work with. We are not going to go and counter all of them back. That's not allowed. Think about this. If you counter all 5 back at the same time and all 5 accept, who actually got the house, right? So you have to take it one at a time. Now let's talk about how you lose. When we look at the offers, what do losing offers look like? Well, losing offers look like this. There are certain elements in a contract that have to be filled out. For example, the price, which is pretty obvious. I'll give you a hint. We still see lowball offers, and those are a good way to lose on not just a multiple offer situation, but all offer situations. When you look at, for example, the date, the possession date, you can win or lose with that as well too. If the seller is requesting a 30-day possession or a quick immediate possession, let's say it's vacant, and you put in 6 months for possession, you're likely going to lose that offer too. I know this seems like not rocket science, but I have to just tell you this because I do see losing offers all the time being submitted. And so I want to show you what does actually happen and how you can actually win. Now, other ways that you can lose are through conditions and additional terms. Now, in a multiple offer situation here in Edmonton, you can still have conditions. Sometimes when we get really heated, the one that's going to win is going to have no conditions, obviously, because it is usually more attractive to know the house is sold. There'll be no other worries about if the financing doesn't go through or if the buyer gets cold feet and then does an inspection and doesn't like it anymore. But not all unconditional offers are higher in price than the ones with conditions. So there's a lot of things to think about, and if you want to lose, you would put all the conditions, financing, inspection, or normal. But maybe you're like, I'm going to add pending sale of buyer's home. Guess what? Very likely that's going to lose as well, because now that offer is dependent on your home selling. So can you imagine that seller going, I have 10 other offers. Why would I take that one, right? Think about that when offers are being written and how they get lost or lose. The other way to lose it is when the additional terms in that contract have a whole bunch of things, like make sure that the seller cleans the furnace, make sure that the carpets are professionally cleaned. Now, I will tell you this, you know what? Sometimes when the house is dirty, I understand that's something that you have to take into consideration. But when you're in a multiple offer situation, you have to realize that is maybe a cost you're going to have to take on. And if you try to get that in this negotiation with 10 other offers, there's statistically going to be an offer without all those demands. Because really, additional terms are demands if the seller did not offer it. If the seller is offering you title insurance instead of an RPR and you say you want an RPR, you may lose as well too because they have wanted to do this specifically. I believe that all sellers should have an RPR, but sometimes in a market where it's heated, sellers are able to ask for more and get more than what the buyers are willing to accept. And if there's 10 other people that you're competing against, likely one of them is going to be willing to take on what the seller is requesting. So if you want to lose in a multiple offer, you're going to put all your demands and not even think about all the things and the walkthroughs. I'll tell you this, if you're watching from out of province, it's not a standard of practice to do a walkthrough 24 hours before possession. Now, some realtors here in the city may do that as a standard of practice, but I've been in the industry my entire life. I grew up in it. My dad is a realtor. That is not a standard of practice. It's becoming more and more common, I'm seeing, as a request. And I'll tell you why the lawyers here don't recommend that for the seller to accept. Because sometimes buyers go into the property the day before possession and might make some sort of thing that has nothing to do with the contract. So maybe they go, oh, the windows are dirty. I want the windows cleaned before we get possession. And then all of a sudden there's this like hubbub that is not necessary, some stress that's getting added, And lawyers just absolutely hate it because we've already negotiated the contract. We're not going to renegotiate the contract. If you're worried as a buyer that the seller hasn't done what they're supposed to do, that is why it's in the contract. And that is why everything is going to be done that way. And did you know that the seller is to provide the home in the way that you last saw it? So to put in that 24-hour walkthrough, it's another potential way to lose in a multiple offer situation. To be honest, you want that additional terms to be as clean as possible, i.e. nothing there unless the seller has stated in the private remarks that they're wanting you to accept certain things. That's one way to lose in the multiple offer if you put a big laundry list of items. Now, another way I see as a seller agent how you can lose in a multiple offer situation is when, as an agent, I'm being relied on to give advice on which offer when they look identical. What if they're all winning offers? Now, how do we choose? Well, another way that you're going to lose is if the contract isn't filled out properly. Yeah, you'd think that's a common thing, but sometimes there's missing things that are not filled in and mistakes that are just typos or whatever the case may be. They forgot to fill in the deposit amount, they forgot to put in the realtor's information, all that kind of stuff. Those are things that we will look at from the listing agent side. Not everyone does that, but I advise my clients, look at the overall care in which the contract was fulfilled or filled out. And is that a fair assumption that we're making, that they are not taking full care because maybe they were rushing to get the contract done? Those are all the things that you potentially could use to lose in a multiple offer. Now I'm going to tell you how we're going to win in a multiple offer. You can imagine, let's do all the opposite, right? To win in a multiple offer situation, there are a few major points that I will cover with my clients. One, of course, is the actual offer. So let's make sure that all points of the offer are attractive to the seller. So we're going to take a look at the market comparables. We're going to understand the real estate market. We're going to talk and discuss to see what the client is willing to pay, even though the market value might be lower than what might win. So we'll have that discussion because we don't want to put an offer if we don't feel comfortable doing that. And so a winning offer is going to have a clean offer. Clean offers means that it's not just physically clean, but it's just all filled out properly. So we're giving them the price that they want. We're giving them, so what that means is at least full list, if not a little bit higher, right? If they asked for 30-day possession, we give them the possession date that they want. We have little tricks about how to make that possession date work as well too, to be more attractive, and that's what I will keep totally secret because I can't give all my secrets away on video. And then we also have the terms that are clean, and if we have conditions, we're going to make sure they're quick. The whole way you do that is you don't just say, okay, we'll get the conditions done in 3 days, no problem. You need to have a good team working with you, so that mortgage broker that you're working with, if they're teamed up with the realtor, like I work with a mortgage broker very closely, and my clients a lot of times use them as well, so then we're able to actually talk and go, how quickly can this get done so that we can make it the most attractive to the seller. So we are talking in collaboration with the mortgage broker, and we communicate that to the selling agent so they understand we have all our ducks in a row. Now we're also going to make sure that home inspections actually booked beforehand so that we can show them that we're serious, that yes, we have an inspection condition, but we've already booked it, we're already ready to go. We're also going to make sure that deposit amount is actually very attractive as well too. Now, I didn't say that in how you lose, but I've also seen really low deposit amounts, like $1,000. $1,000 works for new build homes because that's all they want. But in the resale market, that is not how you win. People are usually expecting a minimum of $5,000 to $10,000 to even higher depending on the price point of the home. That's something that your realtor needs to give you advice on to make sure that you are being attractive to the seller when you're putting together this winning offer. The additional terms needs to be nothing. That's how you're going to win. Unless the seller has asked you to accept the RPR from 2005 the way it is, then we put that in. That shows that we are paying attention as the buying side, and the selling side is going, oh look, they've actually paid attention and read and were thorough about understanding our seller situation. So that's important that you are acknowledging the seller's requests. We also want to make sure that contract is filled out correctly. So these are all elements of how to win in a multiple offer situation for the offer portion, but there is another piece to it. Now, the other element is really important to make sure that the agent that you're working with who's representing you is representing you to the best of their abilities, which means I make that phone call to the selling agent to find out any information I need to have before we put it together the offer. I also keep in touch with that agent to find out how they're handling the offer presentation. Are they looking at offers at a certain time? Are they looking at offers right away? What is the seller wanting in their offer in terms of ideal dates and all that kind of stuff? So it's important to get all that information there. Now, when we put everything together, we also put more. We don't just send an email. This is another way that I've observed as a seller agent. Sometimes I just look at my email and go, oh, there's an offer in here. Now, that's not a realtor that's communicated with me at all that an offer was coming. I just saw it because it came in my email. So how you win is that you're going to have an agent that communicates to let them know. I let them know that I'm writing an offer. When I have the offer, I call them and I actually verbally present it to the agent. Even though they're not talking to their client right away, I still present all the things, give them a backstory, let them know. I still am only going to disclose the things I'm allowed to disclose. I'm not going to go crazy there because I work for my client. But the best thing to do is actually to present it. And then I'm also going to let them know, hey, I just emailed you the contract. Can you just confirm you've received it? So I just make sure the communication lines are wide open and I'm able to let my clients know what is going on. They're able to get an update all the time. We also have some other secrets in terms of how we can know how to keep our clients updated. So that's something I'm also going to keep secret. But there's also other things you can do is tell the agent a little bit of a story of why your client should be the people that should win the offer and how to talk to their sellers about who these people are and just to make them less of a number, less of a submission, and more of a person. So maybe sending a picture, maybe telling them a story about who they are. I know in the US, you're not allowed to do this. They're called love letters, but here we're still allowed to do it. So I will always make that effort to make sure that the seller agent knows everything possible that I know that is going to be working in the favor of my clients to give us the best chances of winning in a multiple offer. So how does a multiple offer presentation actually work? Well, how it works is if you are a seller, you are going to sit down, whether physically or on Zoom or on the phone, and your agent is going to go through all of the offers that were presented. They will go through all the details that we discussed in the offer, and then you, as the seller, get to ask questions. Ask as many questions as you want to try to determine which one you're going to take. As a seller agent, I like to give them my feedback. So if the agent did make an effort to explain anything about the clients, I will then at that stage let them know about all these things that my client needs to consider, and they don't have to consider them, but I just put all that in there. Then we go through a process of elimination, because if there's 11 offers, you're clearly not going to work with all of them. We're going to pick our top 3, maybe top 2. Now, sometimes there's a blaring winner and we will just go with that one, but sometimes there's not and we'll have to narrow it down. And then the agent and the seller will go back and forth in terms of how can we make this, how do we discern which one is going to be the one we work with? Do we want to counter it or do we not? Now, some realtors will counter offers and some will just look at all the offers and the seller just picks one and then that's the winning one. Some realtors look at them and decide, I'll go with this one, I'm going to negotiate, see if we like it. If it doesn't, we'll move to the next one. So there are different ways to do this, and this is allowed. It is permitted to be able to do it in this way. It depends on how the seller ultimately wants to handle this situation. Now, another important thing for you to understand is how multiple offers work here in Edmonton is when there are multiple offers received, the selling agent is obligated to let the buying agent know that they are one of 3 offers and the other 2 offers are being submitted by this agent name and this agent brokerage. This is an actual rule required so that we don't have these fake multiple offer situations being simulated, and that way the agent is able to call the other agent to find out if they did indeed write an offer. Now, these 2 agents are not going to discuss the details of their offer, but they're just going to confirm that they did write. Not everyone does this, and I don't see it happen very often, but it is done and put in place so that it can be verified.